So, hey guys, it's Marcus. Sorry about not uploading for a while. I had some emotional things I had to deal with. Also, some mental things as well. But I'm doing better now, so all right. Let's get back into it. So, I ended the last Immortal Life video off with after I stabbed the cannibal in the heart, it exploded. The cannibal's body exploded. But I still had the head of the cannibal. So I gave the horseman back his sword, and I took the wolf out of being invisible, and I told the wolf, all right, let's go. And I headed back, or not headed back, I headed in the direction of the town, which was still, 2 hours away because we haven't really moved much. And the horseman with his horse rode off, and me and the wolf were walking. And the wolf said telepathically, "Why do you still have that thing's head?" And I said, without looking at the wolf, but holding the cannibal's head and putting my hand on its forehead, I said, I'm checking its memory to see if it came in contact with that person or thing that's following us. And the wolf looked at me and said, "Oh, that'll be a good idea." I said, "That's why I'm doing it." And so, as we were walking, the wolf said, "I smell something." I stopped, and the wolf stopped, and I started to smell as well. I enhanced my own sense of smell with magic, and I said, if we are smelling the same thing, it smells like a rotting carcass. And the wolf said, "Yes, that's the same thing." I said, "All right. Do you want to go up to whatever it is sneakily, or do you want to just walk right up to it?" The wolf said, "Well, since we don't know what it is, I suggest we use the trees on either use the trees on either side of the road and walk up to it quietly." I said, "That's a good idea." And I just got done reading the memories of the cannibal. So I turned back in the direction that I came, and I chucked the cannibal's head, and then with that same needle that I had, I took it out, I enchanted it with fire magic, and I threw the needle, and as soon as it hit the cannibal's head, it blew up, but it didn't make a sound. And so we're continuing to the smell, and maybe when we were about 100 feet from it, the wolf suddenly said, "Get down and be quiet." So I crouched behind a tree, and I peeked my head out, and as I thought, or as I figured, I should say, the thing that was following us, the person that was following us, had just killed a cannibal. And the wolf said telepathically, "Do you think he noticed us?" I said, also telepathically, "No, he didn't." Back when we were still hiding in the woods before the horsemen came out, I put stealth, or I guess you can say, yeah, stealth magic on both of us. And because my energy is a lot higher than yours, I suppressed mine down, and then I put stealth magic on me. So the wolf said, "Oh, that's good." I said, "Yeah, now let's watch and see what he does." So the guy, or creature, whatever it was, took off his hood, because he was wearing a cloak, took off his hood, and I saw his face, his facial features, was a mix between a vampire, a werewolf, and something that would, I guess you can say, should have been long dead because he killed it, the leader of the cannibals. And how I know? Well, he reeked. It was not just the body of the cannibal he killed, but he himself reeked of decaying flesh. And, well, cannibals naturally are very, very strong. They can easily knock over trees and just slash them in half. Trees that are about maybe about the width of a car tire. So that's a pretty big tree. And a basic cannibal can just, with no effort, just knock one of those over. So now, whoever this guy was, I'm going to call him a hybrid. Whoever this hybrid was, he now had the speed and strength of a vampire, the speed and strength of a werewolf, not to mention the sense of smell as a vampire, sense of hearing as a werewolf, and the sense of smell as a werewolf, and the night vision of both. He also had the massively enhanced strength of the cannibal leader. And not to mention, I don't know how he did it, but he also had the camouflage skill that all cannibal leaders possess. And so I purposely told the wolf, "I'm gonna walk out, you will stay hidden, I'm gonna walk out and ask him, why is he following me, yada 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 yada." But actually, no, you can walk out with me, just because, your hands and arms are covered, and your legs and feet are covered, but your face still has the wolf on it. So wear a very deep hood. So the wolf came out with me, and I took off stealth of both of us. And just in case anything happened, the wolf's 2 daggers that he had, I enhanced both with one with electricity, or one with lightning, and one with fire. And I enhanced my own 2 blades with acid and what the hell was it called? Acid and poison. Sorry, acid and poison. Like I said, it's been a while. So enhance both of them with acid and poison. and then stepped out. And as soon as I stepped out, the guy looked at me and then looked at the wolf and then looked back at me and said, "There you are," in a mix of, well, when a werewolf is in a human form, it can talk normally, but intelligent werewolves can talk when they're transformed. But he had a mix of the werewolf when he's transformed voice, the regular vampire voice, and part of the cannibal leader voice. And he said, "There you are." I immediately said, "Why are you following me, and what do you want?" And he just looked at me and kind of lowered his head, but still looking at me and, narrowing his eyes, and said, "Well, you have something that your father took from me a long time ago. And because I was not strong enough to go after your father, and I'm still not strong enough, with the help of the vampire and werewolf and cannibal strength, I now am strong enough to take it from you, even if I have to kill you." I drew, and with that, I just smiled. Or, not entirely smiled, but I had a grin. And the hybrid looked at me, or not looked at me. He said, "Why are you grinning for? Or, what do you find amusing about this?" I said, "Well, what you're referring to," and I took out this amulet that was in a box. I know it was an amulet, but it was in a little box. I said, "You mean this?" And with the speed of the werewolf and speed of the vampire, werewolf, and cannibal, he launched at me, and just as he was about to grab it, the wolf put the dagger of electricity or lightning at the guy's throat, but still keeping his head down. Put the dagger at the guy's throat, at the hybrid's throat, and the hybrid said, "Well, that's cute. You know that can't do any damage to me." And with a disguised voice, the wolf said, "You want to find out?" And the energy that emanated from the wolf, it was, how would you call it? Like, it meant business. Yeah, it meant business. It was stronger than the energy he was letting off, so I figured he was holding back. So I said, "I wouldn't move against me with my friend right here. He can be a lot more serious if he wants to be." And with the same speed, the hybrid zipped back to where it was and said, "Do you want to have a duel?" I said, "Well, it all depends. Are you gonna fight, fairly? Are you gonna fight 100%? Because if you do so, I will do so as well." And the wolf put his dagger away, and I said, "Because if you fight seriously, I'll show you a bit of what I can do." And the hybrid said, why not? It's been a while since I went anywhere past 30% of my true power. I said, all right, then I'll equal you. If you use 100%, I will use 100%. But if you use any less, I will kill you immediately. The hybrid then laughed and said, good luck, boy. And that started the duel. So I told the wolf telepathically, stand back and just watch. And then I shrugged off my coat, or I gave my coat to the wolf. I said, hold this. I pulled out, well, I didn't pull out my swords just yet. I was thinking about it, but I'm like, nah. So I went into a fighting stance, kind of doing a bit of like bobbing, you know, kind of like jumping up and down. And the hybrid said, you're not going to draw your swords? Well, that's on you. And then with the speed of all three, dashed at me again, and I caught him with a left kick right to the left side of the head. And knocked him, I would have to say, about a couple hundred feet, about 300 or 400 feet into the forest on the side. And he immediately, the hybrid immediately dashed back out and went at me again, tried to, I guess you can say, equipped or brought out his vampire nails or werewolf nails and clawed at me. He scratched my arm ever so slightly, but then I took a step back and, using a little bit more effort, slugged him right in the stomach, which blew him back about, since there was nothing to stop him, about 1,000 feet. And the hybrid dropped to one knee and said, while coughing up a little blood, he said, now you're getting more serious. I said, well, it's been a while. And I said again, if you don't get serious, 100%, I'm going to kill you in this next attack. The hybrid said, fine. He fully transformed. He had the vampire ears, or werewolf ears, werewolf claws, werewolf legs. And he had the cannibal's arms, so they were huge. And he still had the speed of the vampire and werewolf, so he zipped at me again, and I slowed down time just to before he hit me, and I whispered in his ear, I said, I warned you. I told you to use 100% of your strength. If not, I'm going to kill you. I took out, well, I didn't take out my swords. Again, I was thinking about it. But then I pulled my arms back and I palm striked him directly to the chest. But because time was still slowed, I drew back and I punched I made my hand kind of like a knife. With one finger, I punched right through his chest, grabbed his hearts, because he had 3, grabbed his hearts, pulled them out, and then again, kicked him away. And here's the end of the video. If this gets any views, I'll upload and I'll tell you what happened. Alright. See you guys.